Ethan Hayes had never meant to bring his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, to the downtown hotel that evening. He hated places like this, polished marble floors, staff that walked like they were gliding, chandeliers worth more than his entire annual salary. But the sitter had canceled last minute, and the catering company he worked for had already threatened to fire him if he showed up late again. So there he was, wearing a borrowed white shirt and a bow tie that kept slipping crooked, holding a tray of miniature desserts, while Lily trailed behind him, clutching her faded sketchbook. From the moment they stepped inside, Ethan felt the stares. Men in sleek suits, women in shimmering gowns, gold accents glinting everywhere. And in the middle of it all, his small, nervous daughter, her shoes scuffed from school, her hair in a lopsided ponytail she'd tied herself after insisting she was grown enough. He whispered to her, "Just stay close, okay? Quiet as a mouse." Lily nodded, her eyes big, curious. "I will be good, Daddy." But staying unseen was impossible in a world designed to make certain people invisible. As Ethan made his rounds through the ballroom, winding through conversations about deals, mergers, and vacation homes on islands he'd never even heard of, Lily stood in the corner, drawing quietly. Every few minutes she lifted her head to find him, and every time she did, he gave her a small, reassuring smile. He was mid-stride between tables when it happened. A woman in a floor-length, black dress suddenly turned, bumping into Lily with a champagne flute in hand. The glass didn't shatter, but the golden drink spilled, right down the woman's dress, her face twisted. "Oh my God, are you kidding me? Watch where your kid is going." Ethan spun around so fast the desserts nearly flew off his tray. "I am so sorry," he said breathlessly. She was just drawing. She didn't mean—" "You brought a child to a formal charity gala?" the woman snapped. "What is this, amateur hour?" Lily's lip trembled, her small voice trying to steady itself. I didn't see." "It's okay, Daddy. We can leave," she whispered, tugging lightly at his sleeve. Those 5 words pierced him deeper than any insult. Not because she said them, but because she meant them. She was used to this, being the inconvenience, the reason they hurried away, the excuse for him missing opportunities. She thought she was the burden. He knelt in front of her. "No, sweetheart. You didn't do anything wrong." But the damage was done. People were staring. His manager was glaring from across the room, and Lily was shrinking into herself, trying not to cry. "We'll go," he said finally. "It's fine." He picked up her sketchbook, took her hand, and began guiding her toward the exit, his heart sinking with every step. Another job he was about to lose, another moment Lily would blame herself for. But before they reached the door, a voice rose over the murmurs. "Excuse me, sir, with the little girl?" Ethan turned. From the far side of the ballroom, a man was walking toward them, tall, confident, effortlessly composed. His charcoal suit fit like it was cut from the fabric of credibility itself. People parted around him without being asked, and yet his face wasn't severe. It was curious, gentle even. This was a man used to authority, but not arrogance. Ethan froze. He recognized him from headlines, magazine covers, the news ticker on the hotel's own lobby TV. Alexander Sloan, founder and CEO of Sloan Tech, one of the youngest billionaires in the country. A man whose decisions could move markets, and whose presence in this ballroom was the reason half these guests were even here. He stopped in front of them. "You're leaving," Alexander said softly. "Why?" Ethan swallowed, embarrassed. "My daughter caused a spill. It's best if we step out." Alexander glanced down at Lily, who was wiping her eyes quickly so no one would see. "What were you doing before that happened?" he asked her. Lily hesitated. "Drawing." He crouched to her level. "May I see?" She looked up at her dad. Ethan nodded. With trembling fingers, she opened her sketchbook. It was a detailed pencil drawing of the very ballroom they stood in, only brighter, kinder, fuller of light. The chandelier glowed like a sun. The people were smiling. The tables looked like something out of a fairy tale. Alexander blinked. "You sketched this? Just now?" She nodded shyly. "This is incredible," he said with such sincerity that Ethan felt his throat tighten. "You have real talent." The woman with the stained dress suddenly folded her arms. "She ruined my gown." "Talent or not," Alexander stood, his expression shifting. "Your gown," he said evenly, "will be cleaned in less than an hour. On my tab. And if it can't, I'll replace it." The woman blinked, stunned. "But the problem here," he continued, "isn't her dress. It's how you spoke to a child." Silence spread, cool and sharp. The woman shrank, murmuring, "I suppose." Alexander turned back to Ethan. "Please don't leave. I invited everyone to this gala to celebrate creativity and compassion. 2 qualities your daughter clearly has." Ethan tried to steady himself. "Sir, I appreciate that. But I was already in trouble before all this. I can't afford another mistake. Alexander studied him for a long moment. What's your name? Ethan Hayes. And your daughter? Lily. Alexander nodded slowly. Ethan, if you're in trouble because you chose to care for your child, that says more about your employer than you. Ethan looked down, unsure how to respond. Then Alexander added quietly, let me fix this. Ethan stiffened. Fix it? Sir, you don't owe me anything. Maybe not, Alexander said, but I can help. Why? Ethan asked honestly. People like you don't usually stop for people like us. Alexander's gaze softened with something deeper, something almost painful. My father was a waiter, he said. My mother cleaned hotel rooms. Everyone in this room sees the man I became. Nobody remembers the child I was. The confession stunned Ethan. I know exactly what it feels like to grow up thinking you're an inconvenience, Alexander continued. I won't watch another child feel that way. He turned lightly toward Lily again, offering his hand. Would you show me more of your drawings? She hesitated, then nodded. They returned to the ballroom, this time with Ethan no longer invisible. People moved aside as Alexander guided them to a table near the stage. Over the next 20 minutes, something extraordinary happened. People gathered, not out of pity but fascination. As Lily sketched small scenes around the room, guests admired her talent. Someone brought her a plate of macarons. Another offered her colored pencils from her purse. Lily giggled for the first time that night, her cheeks bright with warmth instead of shame. Ethan watched, overwhelmed. Alexander sat beside him. She's gifted. Has she had any training? Ethan shook his head. I can't afford lessons. I work 2 jobs, sometimes 3. Alexander nodded slowly, thoughtfully. Then came the moment Ethan never could have expected. The lights dimmed. The spotlight hit the stage. The host called Alexander's name. As the applause rose, he stood. But instead of heading straight to the mic, he leaned down to Lily and whispered, Can I borrow one of your drawings? She handed him the newest sketch, one she had drawn in just the last 10 minutes. Alexander talking to her with kindness in his eyes. His brows lifted. You drew this already? She smiled timidly. I draw fast. He took it carefully and walked to the stage. The room fell quiet as he began speaking. Every year at this gala, I talk about innovation, growth, philanthropy, he said. But tonight, something more important happened. He held up Lily's drawing. A little girl reminded me why any of this matters. Whispers rippled through the crowd. This, he continued, was drawn by Lily Hayes, daughter of one of the caterers. Working tonight. She has more talent at 8 years old than I had at 28. More heart, too. Lily froze, her eyes wide. And she almost left this room, Alexander said, because someone made her feel small. The woman in the black dress stiffened, looking away. But she isn't small, he said firmly. Her father isn't small. No child with a gift should ever feel like a burden. No parent trying their best should feel ashamed for providing. Ethan's chest tightened. So, tonight, Alexander announced, Sloan Tech is launching a new arts scholarship, the Lily Hayes Young Creators Program. Fully funded, open to children from working-class families who dream bigger than their circumstances. Gasps swept the ballroom. Lily, he said gently, looking right at her. I want you to be the first. Lily covered her mouth, her eyes flooding. Ethan felt the world tilt. Hope, real, pounding, overwhelming, rose in his chest, something he hadn't felt in years. The room erupted into applause. Later, when the lights dimmed and guests began to leave, Alexander walked back to them. Ethan stood, unsure what to say. Sir, it's too much. I don't know how to thank you. You don't have to, Alexander said. Just promise me one thing, anything. Let her keep drawing. Let her believe in herself. Ethan's voice broke. I will. Then Alexander reached into his pocket and handed Ethan a card. One more thing. I want to offer you a job, something stable, good hours, full benefits. You've spent the entire night protecting your daughter before your own job security. That's the kind of loyalty I want on my team. Ethan stared at the card. Me work for Sloan Tech if you'll accept it. Ethan's hands trembled. Yes, absolutely. Lily hugged her dad's arm, beaming. Daddy, he saved us. Ethan knelt and pulled her into his arms. No, sweetheart, you saved us. Your art, your heart. You, Alexander smiled quietly at the scene, then turned to leave. But before he did, Lily called out, Mr. Alexander, he paused. Thank you for seeing us. He gave a small nod. The world is brighter when we actually look. And with that, he disappeared into the crowd, leaving father and daughter standing in the doorway. Not as the people who had almost been kicked out, but as people whose lives had just changed forever. That night, as Ethan and Lily stepped into the crisp air outside the hotel, something felt different. The city lights didn't look so distant anymore. The future didn't seem like a storm waiting to break. Lily squeezed her dad's hand. "Daddy, yeah, it's okay," she whispered, her voice full of a hope he hadn't heard in so long. "We don't have to leave anymore." Ethan looked down at her, his miracle, his reason, and felt tears sting his eyes. "No," he said softly, "we're finally staying. And we're starting over a new beginning, a restart. All because a billionaire CEO stopped to see the people no one else ever noticed. Because sometimes, the smallest moment of kindness reshapes an entire life. Because sometimes, a child's drawing can change everything. And because sometimes a stranger becomes the person who helps you believe again.